found some denim too.
I did.
Oh my God, we didn't even plan
Oh my
this.
God, we're so cute.
This is so
Okay, I have to
funny.
ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys leave a size 9 Oura Ring charger in Sedona?
God damn it. I found the Oura Ring charger.
The Hollow Buddy. And we all feel hollow sometimes.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast. I'm Kristen Zeman, here with my audacious and authentic co-host, Sylvia Moyer. We are former police chiefs who have seen a lot of examples of leadership, both the kind that fills the room with substance and the kind that's all shine and no depth. The Hollow Bunny is our metaphor for those leaders who look the part but lack the substance. They are the empty suits of the world. So here we talk about leadership, the kind of stuff that's built on courage, competence, and character. This podcast is for anyone looking to lead with impact, challenge the status quo, and fill their own bunny with something meaningful. How you doing today? We're both wearing a little denim today.
Hi, yeah, you and I are kind of denim. This is a total coincidence, and people will make up a big story how
They will.
call me, wear a denim jacket.
Can I tell you a secret for those for
Okay.
the listeners who are watching, because we are on YouTube? So have you seen this? This isn't a real jean jacket. It's a Dickie.
I'm sorry.
It's a Dickie. You heard me, Dickie.
Okay.
It's a zipper that zips in to my blazer, and it looks like it's a jean jacket underneath, but it's a Dickie.
So you don't get all the thick two
That's right.
jacket kind of thing,
right.
but you got the two jacket look.
Dickie. It's fake. It's just fake.
Okay, what else can you zip in there with that little kind of hound?
You can change this. You can take out the jean jacket and you can put in like there's even like a little hoodie, so you can sort of like dress it down a little bit. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this. Obsessed.
Okay, so what would I put in my search? Like how to buy a Dick?
So this is from I forgot the name. It's Veronica something. Do you watch Shrinking?
No, but I need to. Wait.
Oh my God.
Shrinking. Yes, with Harrison Ford.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
It's so good. You know Liz, who polishes the rocks?
Oh, yes.
The next door neighbor. Okay. She was wearing this, like one of these like blazers with this underneath. I Googled like cast shrinking Liz costume designer. No shit. And it's Veronica Beard. It just came to me. And I bought this because Liz from Shrinking was wearing it on my television. And I thought it was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Does she know?
But we should tell her.
Okay.
I don't even know if she knows. She just gets the costume she has to wear. But this was the I got it from Veronica Beard website, and I am obsessed with this jean jacket Dickie.
Okay, so what's so cool about that is you get the look of two, but you don't have the real thick arm thing.
Yeah, and it's sort of casual, and it casuals it up a little bit, so it's like a blazer. Anyway, enough about this, because we need to really we're being hollow bunnies right now. There's no substance here.
There's a lot of substance. You might have just changed someone's life. Speaking of changing someone's life, before we get into this really important topic about which we're going to intro in a second.
Okay.
Yesterday we conducted promotional interviews in my organization. You know, we started a leadership library. Our human performance advancement stuff is nutrition and sleep and health broadly, and fitness and sleep rooms and all kinds of stuff, financial health, psychological, all this stuff, right? And we do a lot of mindfulness, and it's really changing the culture.
Are you taking applications? Because that sounds like a place for which I would like to work.
It really keeps people engaged, which we're going to talk about. So your application would be, hey, can I work there? Right. Okay. So let me just tell you this piece.
Yes.
Of course, I want to know what people read. How are you learning? What is your intellectual endeavor? So I asked candidates in this promotional interview with the sheriff. So what are you reading right now? Guess what one of our candidates said?
The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
No, it happened to be a
Viktor
book by
Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
So they talked about those, but one candidate reimagining. I don't know what would the title be by Kristen Zeman.
Are you kidding me right now?
I'm not kidding you.
Are you joking me right now?
No joking. Reality.
You're reading my book.
And he
Oh
said,
my
look,
God.
he's a real science guy, real logical brain, and he wanted to really understand how leading women might be different, and a number of things that you offered in your book, Miss Girl. It was
Wow.
so cool.
I would love feedback on it. That's really cool, especially because I don't know that you would get a lot out of leading women. It's really not kind of that decompartmentalized or
Yeah, but
compartmentalized, I should say.
you're kind of a big deal, and you're a woman, and I
I'm
think
a
he
woman.
saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
All
That's cool
evidence
on him.
points in that way. Really cool on him. And I was really impressed at kind of the various things that he has read and
Yeah.
what was offered. And I might have
That's true
giggled. I might have just
curiosity.
smiled, and I went just black with joy, just like the whole world faded away.
Can you do me a favor and promote him? So obviously this was part of this. So could you please, I would like to go ahead and promote him. Do I have any power here? Obviously he's got great taste in books.
Yes, you have some power, but no authority.
Okay. There's the juxtaposition. Okay. Anyway, but really cool on him. That is a curious person who is leaning into something for which he is not familiar and decided, wow, I think I'm gonna come in this space that I know nothing about. That tells me everything I need to know about him. So he has my vote, just so you know.
Okay,
for president.
good to know.
Okay.
I'll see what kind of weight your vote holds. So Kristen, what are we talking about?
Yeah,
I did.
You teed this up, and I don't even know if you meant to, but you teed this up in a great way because you just you're so deliberate and you're so smart. You just described what this thing of engagement and treating the employee as a holistic individual in that they work for the sheriff's department in some capacity, but you're also looking at their well-being as a whole by offering these kinds of educational pieces. You mentioned financial, meditation. I mean, all of these things that make people better both in their personal and professional lives. So the topic today is about employees, how they're showing up to work, but they're checked out, and why it's happening, what leaders can do about it. We want to try to break down why engagement is at an all-time low and expose the reasons behind it. And so hopefully you'll take away some actionable strategies that you can take back to your organization to get people re-engaged. And it sounds like you guys are on the right track. So how did you come up with this idea to bring this to your people?
Well, I think quite unintentionally, it does have to do with employee engagement and attention through intention, right? So it was really through a lot of research that's showing that people are disconnected. It's showing that the acute, chronic, and cumulative toxicity of policing is degrading the person. And then how do we address that in the holistic way? And what we're finding is something super interesting. We started with a survey to find out what people are saying, where they have needs. We promoted kind of the flexibility for people to engage with this overall wellness effort. There was some funding that came out for us to address officer wellness. And so what we decided to do was call it human performance advancement, because I think most of us are finding that there is a degrading effect over time with what policing offers. But it's not just about policing. I think what you and I are going to explore now is about keeping people engaged in this great crisis with engagement. And that's connected, I think, quite powerfully with attention and inattention. people are distracted in the workplace. And I heard recently, although I can't attribute it because I just can't remember where, but it doesn't come from me, is that the greatest crisis in our society is distraction. We see risk related to distraction. Folks don't find things as meaningful because they're distracted. They don't take an intellectual dive into things because they're distracted. And I think you and I need to talk about this and what folks, listeners of the Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast, can take from this to get their folks attentive and engaged.
You know, that's interesting. I was going to fight with you on that about distraction. Yeah,
Okay.
I know. I love fighting with you. Because I would actually argue that it's not distraction, that it's worse than distraction. It's apathy, I think, is the single biggest disease that we have to fight in organizations. But what I've realized, and then in chewing on, as you would say, what you just said, is that apathy maybe is the road that it takes you on. This distraction takes you to disengagement. And that is, and part of that journey to apathy is the distraction. And when you are distracted, it means that you're disengaged. So that's I would say that's maybe a synonym for disengagement is distraction, perhaps. But sometimes distraction is just that we have too much on our plates, that we're doing this and we're doing this, but we haven't checked out. We're just maybe overwhelmed. So I don't know. Do you see a distinction between distraction and apathy? Because I think apathy is the thing that we have to fight the most.
Well, what I think you just did was you gave me my favorite thing, which is the ampersand. It's both.
Yes.
And what's interesting, it's so funny because one of the guys that I just love, who listens to our podcast while he's in a bubble bath.
What?
And I actually gave him a Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast mug so he could drink something delicious while he's in his bubble bath listening to us. He said, I just learned what an ampersand is. That was so cool. So
wait a minute. We went from
Yeah.
I mean, Lieutenant Cold Plunge, who sits in ice baths, to bubble baths. So I don't know. I think that we're going to have this gentleman on because I would like to know, maybe is there some health benefit to a bubble bath? Is this part of our stillness and meditation? And I'm getting a visual of a man in a bubble bath with our Hollow Bunny mug, and it's working for me.
It's working for you. Just wait till I show you. When he calls me, the picture of him in the bubble bath pops up. It's just, it's neck up. I'm just going to say. So here's what I say. Apathy and distraction, right? One or inattention kind of distraction as a pathway. I think it's both.
Okay.
And so how many times, Kristen, have you done something? Let's say do you take vitamins every day? Or do you take, do you put your keys in the same place? Do you ever look for your keys or your phone? You go,
because everything is in its place. Everything is in its place. Everything is labeled. And everything is in its place. So no, I never misplace my keys or anything.
So I'm going to speak to the rest of the human population, which is more human than you because you're superhuman. I take some medication, right? And I take this medication like 3 times a day. I've done it since I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I'll go, oh shit, did I take my pills?
Yeah.
Have you done that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is distraction. That is inattention. Now what I do, mindfulness is about grounding yourself to where you are so that you can respond to the situation you've been called to. I have translated that into attention and absence of distraction, right? So when let me pull this for you and let me finish the example. I now put my pills in my hand and I am attentive and mindful that they're in my hand and I take them. Instead of just doing it because I always do it 3 times a day since I was 11. Okay. And that's a few years. And what it has done is now I don't have that little pang of anxiety or that question of, oh shit, did I take my pills?
Okay. All right. I feel you. I feel you.
To the
But I mean,
distraction
and
piece.
okay, wait, I'm not supposed to say but. I'm supposed to say yes and. Uh, I don't know if that's exactly what we're talking about here, because what I'm talking about is like not distraction, but the kind of disengagement that lends itself to people feeling a lack of enthusiasm for their work. They're just showing up, checking boxes. They barely participate in meetings. They're doing the
Okay.
bare minimum. They're low energy. They have no interest in professional growth. Basically, they're out of fucks to give. They're not. So I don't view it as like
Okay.
I'm distracted. I view it as something is causing them to check out of their organization. Let me ask you this. Have you ever personally experienced a moment of detachment in your career where you were just, I'm over this, I'm done?
Yes. I said, okay, my give a shitter is in the shop.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
just not sure it can be repaired.
Okay. So tell me if you're comfortable, or at least the minimally comfortable with sharing as much or as little. Cause I can remember times in my career that in fact, there was a few times I almost left, that I started looking for other jobs, and there is a common theme there. And I just want to see if our theme, but when you checked out, what was the reason or the theme there?
Hmm. I'm not sure I can answer that right now.
Okay. Okay.
So why don't
All right.
you offer yours and I'll see if there's a correlation, if it sparks something. Because
So
you have
even
something in mind.
Well, I do, because I was genuinely thinking about this as I have been disengaged. I call it the peaks and valleys of my career. I was in the
Okay.
same organization for 30 years, and there were times where I was super engaged, and there were times when I wasn't. And what I really deducted was it was never the work. I never felt burnt out. It was never the work. And I think that when we look at our workforces, it's
Hmm.
not the work that burns people out. It's I think it's bad leadership. Every single time where I checked out is when I remember having a terrible sergeant who micromanaged me so bad that I would just go home and I would fall apart. And I remember thinking, I'm leaving. I am not staying here. And then I got a great boss and I just wanted to work. And then there were times in my career, and then I had a horrible boss. It was always bad leadership. At least that's just maybe one of them. There's probably many other things, but it was that for me. It was never lack of purpose or connection, because I always felt a strong sense of purpose. How could you not in law enforcement? That it was always that. It was like a toxic workplace, usually made toxic by bad leadership.
I don't disagree. I think without getting descriptive about the time where I was
Yeah,
like, my give a shitter's in the shop. I don't
yeah,
give a shit. I'm just going to go through the motions.
yeah,
Um, and I wasn't sure that the parts were really uh, present to have my give a shitter fixed.
yeah,
Right? So,
yeah.
what's hitting for me is some of that is inspiring leadership, right? It is
Hmm.
about those leaders that get you involved. When you
Hmm.
are asked what you think about something or to contribute, that gets you more engaged, where you feel like you have
Hmm.
presence and voice, right? And
Yeah.
there's this interesting thing between perspective and mindset. And what I understand is perspective is the way you see the world.
Hmm.
Perspective is the way you see the world. Mindset is what you think about what you see. And
Okay.
so in kind of this mindfulness presence, the the perspective about the way you see the world is kind of it's enduring.
Hmm.
The interpretations about what you think about what you see can be
Hmm.
altered, and that's where I think there's some space to remain engaged. And if you're saying it's about a leader, what does a follower do when they're stuck with that leader for a period of time? If you're saying that your give a shit or breaks, you're like, oh, fuck this. I just need to survive. Then we
Yeah.
need to change what you think about what you see.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And this is like this whole idea of learned helplessness is that, and
Oh,
this is also where your distraction piece comes in too, because when someone
okay.
is disengaged or someone is working for a leader that that is toxic, then not only do they become disengaged, but then distraction is easy where they could, they should be focused on their work, but they're not because we're kind of saying the same thing because they just, like you said, your give a shit is just, is
Mhm.
broken. So, okay. So what can you do? That's a very difficult question because I think that is it. The answers are so complex. So one is I think that you can use your influence to manage around you instead of, having to just take in all the toxicity and poison from that leader. Is that if you are a part of a team, or a part of a unit, a division, what have you, you can still change the culture. Even if you have bad leadership, you still have some uh, autonomy over your lot in life. And so I think
Sure.
this is where we allow people to become victims. This is where people say, oh, whenever you say the problem is up there, over there, down there, that's
Yep.
part of the problem. So you have to take responsibility. That is not to say that it's your fault, but you have to take responsibility for kind of creating the space around you, that of which optimizes your performance and those around you. So I think there are things that you can do. Um, I think there are also things leaders can do if maybe they're not even a toxic leader, let's just say, but how to reignite engagement. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but finish what am I missing here about what you can do if you are one of those people who are disengaged? Do you have any other ideas to help people who are stuck?
Kristen Zeman, you consistently elevate my thinking and it takes me back to that core quote that creates action that has changed the course of my life by Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That is, I'm not going to be a victim. I am
That's right.
going to be the positive example that's going to re engage. I'm going to choose a
That's right.
very different response. My response under this scenario that you've given is to say, okay, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
and to be mindful, attentive, to achieve my own happiness
Yeah.
through my contribution, my meaningful contribution for moving forward and not being a victim
Mm-hmm.
to this awful person outside of me, but being in full agency
Yeah.
in self to choose a response.
That's
And
right.
so I think what you're doing is you're saying, let's let's nudge ourselves into owning how we show up in the environment that you just described. So engagement, I think, starts with giving people voice
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, it's, you don't have to have a title to lead. You lead by how people feel when they are around you, the people
Sure.
who you work with. And so I would also tee this up for some of our listeners who may be able to help us. Have you ever been disengaged at work? What caused it and what brought you back, if anything brought you back? But I think that we have to also focus on leaders who may be sitting listening to this podcast and saying, okay, if I'm a leader and I want to start fixing how to reignite engagement, how do we do that? We talked a little bit about this in the
Hmm.
last episode when we talked about teams, and some of that applies here. It's clearly communicating to your team the why behind their work, and this comes back to where I always say communication versus notification. It's not enough just to say, this is what needs to be done. Here's the work that needs to be done. Make the widget, do the thing. It's, hey, you're a part of something bigger here. Here is our mission and our vision, and what you do fits into that. Just hearing that as someone, hearing that from my leader would reignite my contribution and my impact. If you look at me and say, I appreciate what you bring to this mission and you're doing a great job. We don't do that enough as leaders. And it's such low hanging fruit. It's so easy. And yet is the thing that we don't do the most. And that is reinforce the people that are doing the great work.
Sure, and I'm going to really have listeners reflect on our last episode where I talked about Adam Galinsky and his article about inspiring people. I think there's a direct connection here, and he is a professor of leadership and ethics at Columbia Business School. And he wrote a book called Inspire, the Universal Path for Leading Yourself and Others. I'm going to buy it. Because he said in this reprint article that here's a daily practice that is guaranteed to inspire those around you. Every morning, reach out to at least one coworker and praise that person for a task done well, or say thank you for making your life easier. Adam Galinsky said that a CEO told him that it takes only minutes a day over his morning coffee to elevate someone in his orbit, and it brightens not only that person's day but his own. And
love it.
So I think one of the things that we're finding, even in this human performance advancement space, this wellness space, is that human connection is vital to wellness. It's vital to meaningful work. It's vital to how we show up. It's vital to connection. It's vital to intention. And I think it is the antidote to apathy, as you described. Human connection is the antidote. And I have told you at many points in my life, in our relationship as friends and colleagues with each other, that you have been like sunshine wrapped in human skin. You have inspired me to be authentic, to be passionate, to re-engage, to realign. You've kicked me in the ass. You've lifted me up. And it's the human connection that I think is the antidote to so much of this. I've said that you're an elixir for a bad day.
Oh, I love you so
We
much.
just drink you in. And you're condensed and sweetened. I'm just going to say.
So, and this is in our relationship. We don't work in the same organization. We're peers, but we challenge each other. And I think that here's what I want to really grab and underscore from what you just said is that we don't always have to wait for leaders for the recognition. So if we have one of those toxic leaders, we have to remind ourselves that our people, they don't need pizza parties. They need genuine appreciation. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the leader of the organization who shows that recognition. Just like you just said, is that you can praise people, you can check in, personal check-ins. How much just a little text that says, buddy, check, I'm thinking about you. That goes such a long way when you come into someone's consciousness, right? And I think that is what really brings people from, like you said, it's the antidote, to disengagement and to apathy is this idea of human connection. I think we've solved a major problem. We need to bottle this up.
All right. And I think there's a real opportunity for folks to say, okay, if I'm feeling like I don't give a shit, then I'm going to focus on the give a shitter of others. I'm going to say, I give a shit about you, and reach out to that person, because when you give, you receive. There's this really beautiful thing when you give a piece of appreciation and recognition that is authentic and comes from your firsthand witness to how somebody shows up or the contribution they make. There's a return on your soul.
Without a doubt. And
Yeah.
you know what it just reminded me of when we
What?
had Chris Shung on, and he was talking about the law of diffusion of innovation, where we spend so much time and effort and energy on the malcontents, the laggards, the disengaged, when because they're the loudest, because they're the ones where everything is, they're whiny, and someone called them organizational terrorists. And we don't, and so we spend all of our time there, and that can easily take us into disengagement, or we're listening to the disengaged too much, when we should be focusing our energy on the people who show up and do the work every day, and that are showing up for others, for their peers. And so we have to remember that is that we give too much time and attention to the noise, and perhaps we should spend more time on the people who are there, that are engaged. So keep that in mind, both
Kristen,
as leaders as well.
Kristen, the most significant regret that I have was as a new chief, I had one guy. I spent so much time with him, and he was that guy that you're talking about. And if
Yep.
I could go back, I would not spend time with him. I'd just say, "Okay, thank you." And I would move on and spend my time with the people that had potential, that were positive, that were contributing. They wanted to learn,
Mhm.
they wanted me to mentor, they wanted me to describe experience and give them opportunity. All the things that we talk about.
That's
I,
right.
I try to tell new leaders, spend your time in the places where you have the most ability to cultivate. Certainly, we
Mhm.
hold people accountable. We have to hold people accountable to their behavior. But you just reminded me of something so significant and important.
Yeah, and so I wonder, the question is, should organizations focus on prevention, keeping people engaged, or on intervention, fixing disengagement? And sometimes, I think that it's important. And one of the things I posted, that law of diffusion of innovation, and it was Michael Neela who sent me a text and said, I disagree with you, and that you ignore the malcontents and the laggards. You have to find out why they're disengaged. And he was right to call me on that, because you do have to ask the question. There are some people past the point of no return where you just can't spend any more time on them. But should organizations focus on prevention or intervention? And I think the answer is yes, both, because we want to prevent people from becoming disengaged, but those who have become disengaged, we have to try to intervene and fix that. And I think that disengagement isn't always about lazy employees. It's about leadership that's failing to inspire, support, and
For
connect.
sure.
So leaders, make sure that you take responsibility for your role in disengagement, and create purpose and appreciation, and build trust with your teams, because that engagement is a two-way street.
Could I offer something here in this? And is that a yes?
Oh yes,
So,
I'm hanging on your
so
every word.
I likely not. Don't do it. So here's an interesting thing is I read in 2020 when we were grappling with this new thing of remote work. The
Mm-hmm.
concern was that people would be disengaged. And I read
Mm-hmm.
an article, um, I just forgot his darn name. He wrote Team of Teams, Stanley McChrystal.
Oh,
So he
McChrystal,
talked
yeah.
about, which is a remarkable book, one of my faves ever. And he talked about how he kept all of his folks connected when
Mm-hmm.
he was in theater over and deployed. And
Okay.
he offered that to keep people connected is to have a very purposeful script for
Mm-hmm.
virtual meetings. So I wrote one and I
Mm-hmm.
read it at the beginning of every virtual meeting. Folks connecting from home, from a substation, from headquarters, and it was this. I said, "Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining in on this meeting." I said my name. I said, "I hope you're doing well, especially given the operating tempo we find ourselves in. We have X number." So I would count. I would say
Mm-hmm.
we have 65 colleagues connected on this meeting face to face in the Chiefs conference room, on video and on phone. Each of us will have opportunities to present, to ask questions. Anyway, it was a script.
Mm-hmm.
And what it said was, we have folks in all of these places connected from where
Mm-hmm.
they are for this overall mission. And
Love that.
that leads us to uh, reminding folks. And then the closing, I would say your work, your attention, and your intention in leading at this time is vital to how we navigate all of us serving to fulfill the mission from the very disparate places that we are serving right now. And it was interesting how folks reported out that
Mm-hmm.
they showed up differently because there was this purposeful connection at the beginning and inspiration and emphasis at the end. And then I always ended with, we've totally got this, with
Yeah,
a
I love
rallying
that.
cry. And that, I think, was something that I borrowed from McChrystal to keep
Mm-hmm.
folks engaged and connected. Because if they are not connected and engaged, then why
That's
do
right.
they exist? And
That's right.
so I think we should dust off what we did to give people trust, support, vital connection, how we learned it in through COVID,
Yeah,
and we should emphasize it routinely in current day. Does that
agree.
resonate with you at all?
It really does. And I don't think that you can remind people enough of the common goal that's what a team is all about. They're moving towards a common goal. And so many of disengaged employees feel like they're alone. And that goes right back to
Yeah,
the human connection part that you're talking about, and that we're not treating our employees as whole people. And, and I always balk at the work-life balance because I think that's total bullshit. It's just life. I mean, we work and we
yeah.
and we live, and so our personal lives and our professional lives, unless you're watching Severance, and then they are two entirely different things, but that's a whole other podcast. So I think to bring it home, I think the opposite of engagement isn't quitting. It's showing up with zero passion. And that, my friends, is a leadership problem. So if you have that in your organization, you need to take a really hard look, and you need to start putting that time and effort into your employees to bring them back. So I think that's a great place to end it. And thank all of our listeners, all of our bunnies who keep showing up. And thanks to our new listeners who
Yep.
have just found us. Please remember that this podcast is produced by the incomparable Ted Madden, and the music you're about to hear was written and performed exclusively by the Hollow Bunny, exclusively for the Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast by my handsome and talented son, Jake Zeman, and his friends. If you like what we're doing, show us some love by subscribing and liking and reviewing and spreading the word. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. If you don't like it, move along. There's nothing more to see here. And remember, keep filling your own bunny and add substance to others. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
When you look inside, what do you find? Are you content to fall behind? When you lose your way and you've lost your why, have courage and get ready to fight the hollow bunny. When the way ahead is covered in smoke and you're tired and you're scared and you're losing hope, you'll open your heart and your eyes to see a challenge and a question. Why not me to fight the hollow bunny? And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're brave and kind, you'll be alright. If you fight the hollow bunny. inside instead. To change the world, you've got to start small. It takes a leader to say, I don't know it all. And I know I'm gonna fall, but I'll pick it up and come back stronger. Failing forward and moving onward, doing the hard thing and the right thing, forever fighting the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're brave and kind, you'll be alright. If you fight the hollow bunny. If you're tough on the outside but empty within, something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. You're tough on the outside but empty within, something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. The monsters are